Welcome to the Chicago Bears Podcast, a presentation of ESPN Chicago, Chicago's home for sports. Here's your host, Pat, the designer.
When you look at, and we'll get into the second quarter here, because I think this is a really good conversation, the value of players in the NFL right now, and right, you know, you got your premier positions, your wide receivers, tackles, quarterbacks, linebackers, corners, absolutely.
But they've got to be good corners.
Oh, well, that helps.
They've got to be great corners. You can't be the 37th ranked corner and think that you're going to be doing something special.
Yeah, that helps.
All right, so
will there ever be a running back that changes the stigma based on what we're seeing coming to the NFL again? And I'm talking about the ones that are the Barry Sanders, the Walter Paytons. Will we see that again with how quickly running backs are recycled in the modern NFL? Or is that era of running back gone forever? Because I think Saquon Barkley's amazing. Derrick Henry's amazing. But like you said, you still can look at it and say that's an overpay.
Well, I mean, Derrick Henry's so amazing that team can't do anything once they get to the playoffs. And it's not Derrick Henry's fault. It's just that you can stack the line of scrimmage and stop them and force the quarterback to beat you.
Yeah.
And they decided Ryan Tannehill was the best quarterback they had seen in a while. So let's latch onto the guy and let's pay him and let's commit to him. And once they did that, then it didn't make a difference what Derrick Henry was going to do. They had that lead on Kansas City. All they had to do was run the ball out. They couldn't run the ball out. Kansas City kept getting the ball back.
Yeah.
Then they put 56 on them. So I think what happened in the 70s, the run-to-pass ratio was 65 to 35. Yes. Then it dipped to 62.5 to 37.5 and dipped. Now almost every team in the league passes more than they run the ball. With the rare exception, there might have been two teams last year that ran the ball more than they passed.
Well, we're one for sure.
One of them
we're one for sure.
Right.
Yes.
One was the Chicago Bears. So, I mean, that's the rarity. It doesn't happen anymore. That's why the emphasis on running backs has dissipated. That's why it's gone by the wayside. Who's the running back that had 14 touchdowns last year, and they got rid of him? Detroit, 14 touchdowns.
Oh, Jamal Williams.
Yeah. They don't care. Why? Because somebody they're going to put in there at the 3-yard line is going to be able to get the ball into the end zone anyway. So what do they care who it is? That's the point. Can they be special if they're not getting the ball 360 times a year and they're not catching 45 passes? The answer probably is no.
So we probably we'll probably get to we're probably at the point where we won't see those running backs
because of the utilization rates.
Yeah, we won't see those Barry Sanders
and of the usage rates. You now know because who is the guy from Ohio State that played for Tennessee? Eddie George.
Yep.
Eddie George. I mean, people sit there, Eddie George, what a player. Eddie George, you should consider him for the Hall of Fame. Eddie George averaged 3.5 yards a rush, 3.4 yards a rush.
Yeah.
Eddie George was terrible. Terrible. He wasn't a great running back. He was serviceable. He was usable. His rookie year is the only time he showed any pop and any flash. And then after that, the rest of his career was built on the reputation he had his first year. You couldn't, 3 yards in a cloud of dust truly is what Eddie George was. He wasn't dynamic by any stretch of the word. Okay. And they used him, and that's the lesson people have learned. The lesson of Eddie George. The more you use a guy, the more you pound him, the less likely he's going to be an effective football player over the long haul. And that truly happened to Eddie George. So it's not his fault.
Yeah.
He did the best he could. He busted. He had decent linemen in front of him. Kevin Donnelly was there. Bruce Matthews was there. The tackle Hopkins from Illinois was out there. Brad Hopkins. They had a good offensive line left to right. They just, that's the way they did. They used the running back. McNair was young. Maybe they didn't want McNair to make mistakes. I don't know. But either way, but there it is. So rather than using one guy, beating the living hell out of him, and then seeing him being a shadow of him former self in the last 3 years that you utilize them,
right? Why
not get two guys in, have them split everything, utilize them, and then after 4 years when they think they need to get paid, you get rid of them. And let somebody else pay them. Why would you pay them? Ezekiel Elliott, for everything that he's done for Dallas, what has he actually done for Dallas? Tony Pollard, what has he done? Hey, he averages a good per thing, but the point is, there's everybody's like everybody. You put the running back there, they're all wide receivers are different.
Yeah.
Who can get away from somebody? Who could create space from somebody? Who's got that extra wiggle? Who's got that toughness? Who's got that ball hawking ability? Wide receivers are different now. Running backs are not different.
Yeah.
So that's why running backs are what running backs are. They don't have to like it, the running backs. They can cry about it. Christian McCaffrey can go on and say, I just want to change the attitude of a running back. No. The position is what the position is. Are there different types of running backs? Certainly. Might one deserve a little more money than the other? Certainly. Okay? And McCaffrey got paid. McCaffrey got hurt.
Yeah.
McCaffrey got paid. He got hurt.
And all of a sudden,
that's the lesson.
And all of a sudden,
that's the lesson of the running back.
And all of a sudden, everybody's saying he's back because of the showing in San Francisco.
Right.
And it's like, no, he had a good run.
Yeah, we'll see.
I hope so.
We'll see. Odds are, if you look at the law of running backs, which has been put out there, he's on the 18th hole. He's on, he's on the 18th tee.
The numbers
he's getting ready to finish his round.
The numbers of a running back past 28 and being nearly as effective as they were in their younger years, the drop off is drastic. I mean, you're talking about a 2 to 3 yard difference in some cases based on the averages. So let me ask you this then. Should the stigma of a 3-down back be gone now? Because we hear about this every single draft. He's a 3-down back. He's a 3-down back.
I like the 3-down back. The thing is, I need 3-3-down backs. 3-down back is absolutely perfect. I've got no problem. If you got guys that can play 3 downs, you're not dictating what you're going to do.
Right.
Okay. Oh, here he comes. They're going to pass the ball because their passing running back is in the game. So, no, I want 3-3-down backs. I want guys who can catch the ball, and I want guys who can run the ball. That's my running back profile. Guy that can run the ball, got a little bit of shake, a little bit of jiggle, okay, has great vision, can see what's happening, and can catch the ball. Period. That's it. Blocking, I'll try to teach him to block, but it's not a prerequisite.
It shouldn't be. Only in Chicago is it a prerequisite for our running back.
Everybody gets compared to Walter. Walter loved to block. Oh, Walter was different. Walter loved to get his nose dirty, loved to get in there, and he loved to deck people. And blocking is balance, and willingness to engage. Walter had balance and a willingness to engage.
What are you looking at? What are you looking for from the Chicago Bears running back room this year? They did lead the NFL in rushing last year, a lot of it to Justin Fields. When you look at the backs we have here, realistically, we're talking about Herbert, Deontay Foreman, and Roschon Johnson possibly. What are you looking to see from those three? Are you looking to see the prolific run blocker that David Montgomery was for us, or are you looking to see the guy that can just turn himself into the lead back in this running back?
No, I'm looking for the running back situation, the running back room to have two guys that are primary ball carriers, and the primary receivers out of the backfield. So each one getting about 100 and I'm trying to, get the numbers here, probably about 140 carries to 170 carries in that range, 140 to 170, and guys that can catch between 25 and 30 balls. That's it. That's what I'm looking for right there.
You're just breaking it down. Everybody gets an even production.
Everybody's getting even production, and each guy can play 3 downs, and I don't have to substitute during a series. It's your series. Go.
So you don't –
whatever the series is, go.
So you're following the when Ryan Poles says that Roschon Johnson will be a pillar of this Bears team. You're not following them down that path.
No, my concern is not so much about Roschon Johnson or whoever other running back we have, or Herbert or whatever his name is, A-Bear. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, what matters to me now, more importantly, is my receivers. That's what I care about. DJ Moore, Claypool, Mooney, and who, when you're coming out in the 4 wide receiver set, what's happening? When you're in the 3 wide receiver set, who do I have and where are they playing? That's my concern. My concern is the wide receivers. And then the greatest concern of all is the quarterback being able to get the ball to the guys that you have now. Absolutely. And then we'll see how that works. That's the greatest concern, number one concern. Second concern is who are the wide receivers, how are they lining up, and how effective are they going to be able to be? Because they've shored up the offensive line. I don't think question marks about the offensive line are valid anymore. Now, this is the NFL. Guys love to get to the quarterback. Some teams get to the quarterback better than others. You can design to stay away from the pressure. with the way you protect and that kind of thing. So that's my area code. Who our running back is, I don't care.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a difference to me.
It's all about the bodies.
Put him back there. Whoever you got, put him back there. He's playing on an NFL roster. He should be able to play above the minimum expectations in this league. Put him in there. The guy rushes for 125 yards in a game. God bless him.
We heard Luke Getsy talk about this O-line. You brought them up, and he said that he saw promise in them based on the fact that we're seeing, right, they're not scheming for anything in OTAs, and yet the protection looks good. The protection looks better than what we saw last season. Does that actually mean anything at this point, that they're not scheming, but the protection looks good?
Not until they put the pads on. Everything looks good now when you're wearing shorts and T-shirts. Nothing matters to me until the pads go on. And then I see a little bit of the exhibition games. And why? Listen, you should have at least, you only got 3 now. So you should be working into the second quarter in the first one. You should be working into the third quarter in the second one with your starters. In your third one, you rest all your important people. And then you hit the ground running once the season starts. That's your rotation.
Right.
Hopefully that's the way they work it. You don't have 4 anymore. So you really got to work in the first 2 and then save your people in the third one for the regular season. So that's how it works. And that's the way it should be.
It's going to be a grind this year, man. I mean, like, do you how much?
Listen, every NFL season's a grind. Yeah. Every NFL season's a dogfight. We finished 9-7 a couple of years in a row. 9-7, 9-7, 9-7. Then we went 11-5 in Green Bay.
Right,
and that was all while Brett was trying to learn how to play the game.
Yeah.
So those were the records. And then after that 11-5 season, the next year they go to the Super Bowl and they finish even better than 11-5. Then the next year they end up losing to Denver in the Super Bowl, and they're just as good. And then they went on their little bit of a run. Holmgren left, Ray came in, they finished 8-8. Ray Rhodes, they finished 8-8. So they had their little blip. When 8-8's a blip for you, fine. And then I think that's when Mike Sherman came in. Mike Sherman became the head coach of the Packers. And then Sherman took them to a different level with Amon Green.
Yeah.
And those guys. So, he ends up taking them to a different level, but it was still Favre. It was Amon Green, Donald Driver, probably.
Can't go wrong there.
I think that was the ascent of Brooks and Antonio Freeman's career. They started to shut it down, after that for a while. And, they still had the weapons. Chewy was still there. Then they brought somebody else. Jermichael Finley might have been in there at the time. So there's always guys always being replaced, always rebuilding. When you don't win the championship, the Super Bowl, guess what you're doing? You're retooling and you're fine tuning. Yeah. Retool and fine tune. That's what you've got to do.
So I like that conversation there, right? Like we were going to talk about Justin Fields struggling yesterday, but you already said OTAs. It is what it is. Pads.
Well, yeah,
no
you
pads.
can talk about the struggles.
Right.
It's all about identifying and having the confidence to throw the ball where it has to go. I mean, that's it.
But I like how you brought up, right, Brett trying to figure things out.
Yep.
9-7, 9-7, and then it kind of clicks for him.
5.
He's able to take it off.
Yeah.
What's your timeline here for Justin Fields right now? Because he's coming up to the point where, right, this season, going into next season, you're talking about paying Justin Fields. If we're 9-7.
Nah, I hear some real stupid things about extensions for him.
Yeah.
No, it's not the decision that needs to be made. The decision to extend him doesn't need to be made until year 4.
Right.
After year 4, going into year 5. The decision that needs to be made now is, do you pick up a 5th-year option on him? Mm-hmm. That's the only decision that needs to be made. And that's the decision he's going to prove to you over the course of 8 or 9 games. You'll have a good feeling on what you're going to do. And that doesn't have to happen until, I forget when the 5th-year option has to be picked up, but it's probably after the season, after the Super Bowl, before the league year ends. Yep. We say, hey, we're picking up the 5th-year option. So that's what it is. I hear people saying, well, you got to decide on if you're going to give him an extension. No, you don't. It's not the decision you have to make now. The only decision you got to make is a 5th-year option, period. And the fools that want to talk about extensions right now, having seen the way he played last year and the limited amount of success that he had in the air as a quarterback, that's what needs to be proven this year. That's it. So I don't worry about anything. I hear the pundits talk that don't know a damn thing about football when they talk about extensions. It's the 5th year.
Well, I think
5th-year option. That's all you're worried about right now. And will he prove he deserves a 5th-year option? And then you watch the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have next year
Yeah.
a part of that to decide what you're going to do. And then you can decide, hey, he's our guy. We're willing to commit $40 million or 40 whatever million dollars.
I think they're basing it off the fact that we've seen a lot of those guys who are the guy, though, right, get their money before that fifth-year option comes into play. But I think at that point you're not worried about it, right?
Your guy Justin Fields isn't that close.
Exactly, and that's what I say.
That's just
you've
true.
got a lot more to
there.
prove.
I mean, Jalen Hurts took his team, and you saw the throws Jalen Hurts was making.
Yes.
Okay, it was Jalen Hurts doing it.
Yeah.
I hate that quarterback sneak play. I think it's fraudulent play. I think he's hijacking his running back's touchdowns in that situation. But the way he threw the ball was the impressive thing.
Yeah.
The way him and his receivers connect, and him being able to find the right placement of the ball in between defenders, two of them. That's what was impressive. That's what gets you the money. That's what gets you paid.
Yeah.
Okay. Not quarterbacking sneaking into the end zone. That doesn't do a damn thing for you. It's what he did passing the ball.
Oh, got Daniel Jones $40 million.
Well,
20 mil realistically.
No, hold on, though. Listen, he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. Not every starting quarterback deserves Patrick Mahomes' money.
Right.
We can agree to that.
I agree.
If you rank him from 1 to whatever, and wherever you want to put Daniel Jones, if you look at what he actually ends up getting paid, not what the agent says, I think you'll find that he falls right where he needs to fall.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't buy the BS from the agents. You look at the deal and they'll see what he ends up getting paid at the end of the year. And I think you'll find out that Daniel Jones fell probably right where he belongs as far as compensation. Here's another guy, Jimmy Garoppolo. I love Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not making $50 million. He's not making $40 million. He's not making $30 million. Jimmy G's got a tremendous record in this league as a starter.
Yes.
Okay. Not everybody loves him. Not everybody's sold on him. I know what he can do. He can read defenses. And he can get the ball down the middle of the field where a lot of people are afraid to go.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a problem throwing the ball. He doesn't have a problem being patient. Sometimes he's too patient. But the league, over the course of time, has decided, okay, Jimmy G, where is he? He's not an elite quarterback, but he's a pretty damn good quarterback. So we're going to find an X value, a value here. Whatever he's going to get paid out with the LA Raiders, LA is Vegas. The Vegas Raiders is what he probably deserves. So there's a range of what quarterbacks get paid, depending upon how good one judges them or not to be. The 37th ranked defensive corner in the United States of America is Jalen Johnson. The year before, he was in the 60s. Well, guess what? What's the range right now in 2023 between the top corner and the 10th corner?
Top corner and 10th corner.
Yeah.
We talk about 10 mil?
Yeah. Well,
10 mil.
Top guy's making $24 million.
Yeah.
The 10th guy's making about $14 million.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So those are the top 10 guys. Where do I put the 32nd or 37th guy? What's he making?
That's a great question.
So I mean,
that's a great question.
If you got that much disparity in the top 10 corners in the league,
yeah.
What am I top? Not even top 10 best corners. The top 10 paid corners is $10 million. Where am I putting the 37th ranked guy?
That's a great question.
Well, I mean, but that's the point.
That's how you got to break it down.
There's a median salary at the position.
Yeah.
And if you got an average player at that position, but you like the way he plays, you pay him above the median, and either he says, I'm worth more, or I'm happy to accept that contract. We'll negotiate it. It will be a 4-year deal, and we'll move on. Or you won't, where he thinks in free agency he'll be able to capitalize and make more on the market. Then you got to decide, well, do we want him to get to free agency? Are we afraid we're going to lose him? Or have we alienated him to the point where he wants to go?
Right.
So those are all the things that come into play. So instead of paying him the median because he's an average corner, you might pay him a little bit more, pay him a premium on being an average corner because you want to keep him, and he's been in your system, and he's been in your defense for a couple, 2 years.
Kyle Fuller.
So those are all the decisions. Well, Kyle Fuller was awful. He had one great year, and then he never played like that again.
He didn't.
Right, but he also benefited
from that defense.
And he knew. He goes, listen, I can take chances. I can take chances because how the defensive line was. And he played more aggressive than he ever did. He had more pass breakups than he ever did. He had more interceptions than he ever did.
Right.
And then what happened? He got paid the next year. Back to cruise control. You know, rather than going balls to the wall, 100 miles an hour on the edge of disaster, on the precipice of disaster, the way he was playing, when he achieved the level and skill that he had, what did he do? He'll throttle it back down to 55. I can't drive 55. No, he was going 54. Cruise at 54. He wasn't getting a speeding ticket anywhere. And then you saw it with his level of play on the field.
Right.
We
having some good football talk here. I'm not going to lie. This is off-season content, baby. Your co's ready for it. I love it. American runs on done. If y'all ever want to sponsor the pod, you know what I mean? The Friday episode, there will be a Dunkin' Donuts cup in the building.